What's up, Tube? Today I'm going to talk about the APS XTP Shark whatever CO2 mags and O-rings and grease. Now I know I touched on this in my video review of the XTP, and I said that I wasn't going to talk about it because thousands of people have already done it to death, and few people said, well, you know, I hadn't actually watched any other videos, and on top of that, I actually was changing my bulb, and I did all the things that I was supposed to do. I released any excess gas with the purge valve here. So I held that down. I held it down with my pinky finger like that while I was undoing, so I held it like this while I was undoing this like that, so that no excess pressure was in the mag, so that nothing could blow my O-ring out. And guess what? I blew an O-ring out. Despite following all the rules, I put silicone oil on the O-rings, I put silicone oil on the threads, I purged all the gas, I followed all the rules, and it still blew out an O-ring. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty careful with this sort of stuff, so if I'm doing this, then other people are most definitely doing this. I've also spoken to other people who have gone through so many bulbs and not had any problems whatsoever. So I'm going to get out my sketch pad and I'm going to draw some diagrams for you, what I think happened, and I'll go through it a bit and obviously overthink it and talk too much about it like I always do. Before I get into that though, I will talk about these bulbs. I found an online shop that sells these pretty cheap, like reasonably cheap, cheaper than most places that I've seen. It's called easycharges.com.au. I think I got that right. I'm going to put a link down in the description to these anyway. You can get them in. I got this 10-pack just to test that they were the right size and everything, and absolutely I've used a couple already and they're perfect. So I'll put the link in the description for all you guys. They delivered in a couple of days from when I ordered it. I put the order in and they were here in a couple of days, so yeah, I'll chuck that in for you guys as well. But what I will do now, I'm just going to go over what I think happened inside this CO2 mag. Alright, so if you can see here, the bottom of this is angled like that, and then it's awkward drawing around a tripod, but bear with me. Okay, and then the rest of the canister, I guess, goes up in there. And then in the bottom here you have your cap, which is screwed in square. There's your thread. Now your O-rings, I'll draw the O-rings in red so you can see them a bit better. The O-rings actually sit like that there. Square across the bottom of the thread. Hashtag not an artist. Now, this top section here is pressurized with the gas when the cylinder is in there. And as you're unscrewing this, you can see just here that red O-ring being square with the screw. As it unscrews, this little section here comes out first, and any pressure that's here can actually blow this O-ring out, pop it out and rupture it. So what I always do is press this valve here, make sure there's no, press it down, vent out any excess pressure out this way. So this whole area above here is now depressurized. But what I think happened in my case, I think a little bit of pressure must have snuck past this first O-ring and pressurized the area between the two O-rings. And that could be because my O-ring was a little bit crappy at sealing or something, or I don't know, it could have been a number of things. But anyway, there's two O-rings there, obviously because they felt one wasn't enough, I guess. But yeah, it can happen where you can get a little bit of pressure between the two O-rings. So even when you vent the area on top of the O-ring, and obviously the bottom area is already vented to atmosphere, as you're unscrewing this, there's low pressure there, high pressure in between the two O-rings. And as soon as you get to this point here, that first O-ring peaks out there, that high pressure wants to punch out there and rupture that O-ring. Now what I'm going to do is hopefully not show that to you, but show how it can happen. Okay, so I've zoomed in, I've got light on. I'm just going to use this to point at where the O-ring is. I'm not going to actually pierce the O-ring with it because it's sharp, but just in there. See in there, that's the O-ring there. Now what I've actually done is I've held down with my pinky finger the release valve while I was undoing this, so there's no pressure. Now I've gotten to the point where that O-ring just started to poke out. Now what I do is I just get in there with something blunt. I would use a fingernail, but I don't have a fingernail on me at the moment. And then I just sort of gently nudge it. This is just a plastic adapter from butane. You know what they're for. So okay, you can see now, I don't know, can you see? Can you see a couple of little bubbles in the silicon? I don't know if you can see that, but there was a couple of little bubbles in the silicon there. So that to me says there is pressure in between those two O-rings, and as I undo this real carefully, real gently, I saw some bubbles bubble out from behind the O-ring. So I just like to press this O-ring a little bit like that till there's absolutely no bubbles left, and then just really, really slowly open that up. Make sure there's no bubbles. I think we should be good now. I don't see any more bubbles coming, so I'll really slowly open that up. And there we go. The first O-ring is completely past. It's completely past that section there, and there was no gas explosion. As you can see now, the area between the O-rings. I'm going to take that out awkwardly from behind a tripod. Okay. Hopefully you can see now what I'm talking about. Just this tiny gap between the two O-rings, I found I got a little bit of pressure in between there, and it was enough to blow that O-ring out. Obviously, if you also haven't purged this valve, you may find yourself in the same situation. Now, O-rings for these things, they're going to be selling like hotcakes, I reckon, because I reckon a lot of people are going to be busting these O-rings. Like I said, I like to think that I'm pretty careful with these things, but I already busted one, so yeah, I've ordered some cheaper O-rings from online, and they haven't arrived yet. But when they arrive, I'll test them to make sure they work, and then I'll put the link in the description of this video. one thing I can tell you is that they are 16mm ID, 2mm thickness, and I think 20mm OD. Does that make sense? 2mm either side of diameter, 16, 20. Yep. Alright. Yeah, I think that's it for me for now. So, TLDR or TLDW, use high quality silicon, 100% silicon grease. This one's just a little one that came with the O-ring kit from Tack Edge. You can use shock oil from a hobby store. There's various 100% silicon oils that you can use. Just make sure you do lube the heck out of these O-rings and undo them very, very carefully, otherwise you can blow them out. Yeah, so I think that's it for me. For what it's worth, I think I loaded up one of these bulbs that I got into the mag, and I ran about 7 mags out of this bulb, if that's some things that people want to know. So I wasn't really stacking them up high. I think I was only running like 11, maybe 12 gels per mag, but I ran about 7 mags before the gas was empty. So yeah, that's it from me. Don't forget to buy me a coffee, hit me up for a patch on Facebook. Yeah, just a quickie because yeah, if the more knowledge the better, right? The more knowledge the better. I was a little bit worried that people were going to be like over it. I've heard it 1,000 times, the silicon oil, the O-rings, keep it careful, all that sort of stuff. I'd heard it 1,000 times too, and I still did it, so rip. Thanks for watching. Peace.